Hello there folks, it's me RGB from RJBTV with, let me just quickly move to the banner, Zone against Byul in game number 2 here. So let's pull the score back up onto the screen. We have one win for Byul, who in the last game just seemed to find all the correct pieces of the puzzle and have them fall into the exact right place with every move that he made. Zone here on the yellow Protoss is looking for redemption because in the previous game nothing seemed to go his way. He tried a lot of things, had great execution on a lot of things. But Byul on the other hand seemed to play the absolute perfect defense. His responses were correct. If you were to give him a grade, he would have gotten an A+. This time around though, Byul is going for a fast MAC build order, fast factory build order. Supply depot and gas both at 8-10 into the game, because that way when your barracks finishes up you have 200 gas, maybe 210 or 212, somewhere around that point, and you have exactly 400 minerals, maybe 500 minerals, like somewhere in between that, for double factory. It's a very strong build order, which is very strong against anything that is called a zealot opener. There's a lot of different pathways to go with that build order, and I've seen Byul do it many times, and he's maybe in fact one of the very best players in StarCraft at doing a double factory opening build order. And Zone here actually started with a triple gateway opener, which if he finds Byul really early on has some potential at doing damage, but usually most of the time I do not see this do a whole lot of damage. But he's gonna go for a fast assimilator right after that triple gateway, and the zealot is on the way. This looks kind of like a normal 2v2/3v3 opener. We just don't really see this that often in 1 versus 1. Fastest map, so double factory on the way. The factories are kind of far away from the command center. Most of the time we see players build their factories much closer to the command center so that they can protect everything with like a bunker. Now everything is pretty far away, but there are advantages to having everything kind of split up. It is very easy for you to move around in your own base, nothing gets stuck. But the downside, as I said before, is it's hard to protect everything when everything is wide open. So there's downsides and upsides to what Byul is doing here. He might go for a command center right after double factory. He might go for a third factory, depending on what happens and what Zone does. Zone is 4 zealots on the way. We got 2 vultures on the way. We had Byul skipped out on Marines. Like, Byul didn't get scouted early by Zone, so he was like, oh, I don't need any bunkers, I don't need any Marines, and now he might actually pay the price for that, because he's getting attacked, and 1 vulture almost goes down, gets surrounded, zealots are still in the chase. He's forcing Byul to multitask as hard as he can by sending a couple zealots after the vultures, having 1 zealot attack whatever, and having the other zealot go for SCVs. This is very smart. If you were to put every single one of those zealots onto the SCVs, the vultures wouldn't have to be microed, which wouldn't tax Byul's multitasking much. But by having a couple zealots attack SCVs and a couple other zealots do something else, Byul's multitasking is getting taxed to the maximum. So yeah, he lost a couple of SCVs. I think he lost like 4, maybe 5 in total, which is actually a really good hit there from Zone. I think he killed 5, yeah, looks like 5, maybe 4. Like just, oh, Dragoon's already in the base. Looks like Zone's build order is actually really effective here, because as you can see, Dragoons are really awesome against vultures. He's gonna have to pull off a miracle here, or Zone is gonna have to throw the game in order to lose this. Like, if Zone loses, he has thrown the game out of the window. If he wins, then it means Byul, you know, just got countered by a build order. He's target firing on the SCVs. The vultures have to wait for the tanks. We got mines on the way and siege on the way. Byul is suffering massive amounts of damage. We almost see a 10 worker difference here. One Dragoon gets stuck between SCVs. That's a big mistake. And I'm kind of surprised that Zone seems to have skipped out on one single cycle of Dragoons, and now it all comes down to Micro. Gets the tank, gets the other tank as well. We got mines almost finished up. Tank number 2 stays alive for a pretty long time. It's still alive. It will die very soon. It dies, but I think the Dragoons are both on very low HP at this point. Oh, this is almost at full HP. 2 more Dragoons, 3 more Dragoons coming into the base. Byul is having the hardest time of his life, and Zone went for the absolute perfect build order to counter this. Like, the very fast gas he did allowed him to very quickly pivot and transition into cybernetic core technology, and he went for the Dragoon range and just sent a couple Dragoons across the map. And while this is happening here, while Byul is being absolutely demolished, we can see that Zone is progressing nicely. Got a Nexus, got a Robotics, and got a Citadel of the Dune. Meanwhile, like at this point, all that Zone has to do is attack move a couple Dragoons across the map while building up back at home. And he's not just doing that, he's also controlling everything. But this game has gone really well for Zone. As you can see, we're still below 20 SCVs there for Byul. If Byul just had a bunker, or maybe didn't build a command center that early on, he would have been probably fine against this. But just the fact that he skipped out on Marines, he built one single Marine without a bunker. He eventually did build a bunker in the front, but the bunker in the front with one Marine in it is not really going to do anything at all. The mines are effective there, though. He might want to wait for an observer. Looks like all the Dragoons in the back have been taken down. He sends one Dragoon forward to tank some mines. He doesn't exactly know how many mines there are. He's maybe assuming there are many more mines than we actually see. We see only 2 of them. He's putting down a couple more mines. We're now in 24 SCVs there for Byul. Byul has some tanks seated up in the back. Byul has somehow survived with miraculous Micro. He should have been dead. He should have already been dead. But you know what? I think he is, perhaps, already dead. It just hasn't happened yet. And that, by that I mean, he's so far behind that at this point, Zone just has to go through the motions and collect his paycheck at the end of the game, because he is never ever going to lose unless an absolute rare miracle happens. We are now on 28. Zone on 41 workers. We have a 40 supply difference. Dragoons are waiting in the front. Observers on the way? He did build the observatory. The observer starts now. He went for a shuttle and a reaver to try and go for a reaver drop while maybe attacking from the front. There's a one zealot mixed in that might be there for the sole purpose of triggering mines to allow the Dragoons to march forward. If the mines are gone, the Dragoons can go forward. But maybe he's going to wait for the observer after all. Maybe he's going to wait for the observer after all, because he's just balling up his units, which just means that Byul has some time to, get a little bit bigger himself. But given his economy is so small and so low, there's really not much he can do. He cannot really add on factories as he wants to. He cannot really place mines everywhere because he has to construct a very clean mixture of tanks, vultures, and Goliaths. Why the Goliaths? Because we have shuttle technology from Zone already out on the map. And Byul knows that. Byul knows that by about 7 minutes, there has to be a shuttle somewhere on the map. So he's accounting for that with his Goliaths. He built some turrets on the side so well against drops. Observer arrives on the scene, shuttle there in the back. They're moving forward. Zealots are kind of just waiting, and they're running in, going for the home run. He built a structure right there, but it's not really blocking anything. Reaver gets in closer. Reaver alone there on the scene. Reaver shoots on the tanks, on the Goliaths. Doesn't shoot on the SCVs, but he doesn't have to. He just has to kill some units there in the back. Just kill anything with the Reaver, and he wins. That's kind of the point. He just is so far ahead of Byul. Byul has been completely decimated, obliterated, destroyed. Zone just had the absolute perfect build order counter to what Byul was doing. There was really just not much Byul could do. And that's in part because Byul just cut too many corners. Like I titled the previous video, cutting all the corners. And you know what? Byul tried to cut every single corner, and Zone realized that that was the playstyle Byul wanted to go for, and just went for the perfect counter. So I just want to rewind real quick to the point where he scouts him. Right here. Yes, the probe there. Zealots are first going to go the wrong way, because he assumes that he could never be on the bottom of the map. Why would he be on the bottom of the map? Well, he is on the bottom of the map. So he completely skips over this base. Completely skips over that base. just goes straight to the corner and finds nothing there. So there is a little bit of time here for Byul to actually prepare himself. The thing is, let me just rewind again. How many of those zealots did Byul see? 1, 2. Here, this might be the answer to why Byul under-defended in the early game. He saw 2 zealots. He was probably assuming at this point into the game that Zone went for a gateway nexus build order, not a triple gateway. Because in about 90% of the games, maybe even 95% of the games, when you play against a Protoss who is on the middle, he doesn't yet know he's on the middle, but when you play against a Protoss on a middle spawn location in the Korean top level 1 versus 1 community, most of the times, 95% of the times, gateway nexus. In which case, what Byul was doing would have been fine. Because on the gateway nexus, the gas has been delayed. You also have less zealots on the map because, you know, it's double gateway into a nexus. This is triple gateway. And he went for a 7 pylon. So the pylon came out on 7 supply, which means you get the gateway on 9 and then 2 more gateways on 11. So everything here was fully intended to go for early game hyper aggression. So he scouts this side base first. Got 1 Marine in the front, SCV there on the side, 1 Marine moving across the map that will find this. But by the time he finds the gateways, he sees this. He sees Zealot. This triple Zealot configuration here can only mean one thing. It's triple gateway. But Byul at this point has already screwed up, so to speak. He's already put himself in a situation where he is in a terrible situation. Just things can no longer be saved at this point. Unless, of course, he started the bunker. But the factories are so far away from any bunker he could build. He could build the bunker right there, but then the SCVs are unprotected. He could build the bunker maybe a little bit closer to here, but then the factories are unprotected. He built everything so far apart against triple gateway zealot that he is going to take damage, whether he wants it or not. The zealots are already here, so he pulls back the Marine. He goes in, and now he sees the warning signs. Triple gateway, Cybercore, and in the back he scouts a gas. He didn't see the Cybercore actually, but he's just gonna assume there has to be a Cybercore if he's mining gas. You never mine gas without a Cybercore. That's just dumb. That is just not smart. So he gets in there, and by this point Byul is effectively already losing the game. The vultures come out, and here it comes down to execution. As I said before, Zone actually gets a little bit lucky here on the catch on that one zealot, the one vulture. Doesn't kill it though, because Byul does respond on time. But because the vulture is already on low HP, both of them in fact are already on low HP, Zone can't afford to just send 2 zealots onto the SCVs, which he does after a little bit of time. Like, he splits up the zealots. These are going to be on the chase, the other ones are going to just attack, whatever. Splitting them up was super smart, because Byul has to focus on keeping the vultures alive. If one of these 2 vultures dies, the game is over even faster than it already was. So he splits everything up, forces Byul to just put all of his attention and his actions and attention into microing the vultures, while he's losing SCVs, while more units are coming over the front door. He's not building a bunker, which is again a pretty big mistake. He should have built a bunker to at least put a Marine into one of the bunkers to help him protect himself against the zealots, which he didn't. He really cut every single corner imaginable in the world. And by this point, we already have 3 Dragoons on the way there from Zone, because his build order allows him to very quickly just build Singularity Charge and get some Dragoons. So the zealots are doing the work in already slowing down Byul, killing his economy, killing his fighting power, so to speak, by killing vultures and zealots. The vultures do survive this attack. He kills the zealots, but the damage has been done. Like, there's zealots in the front that are killing 2 vultures because he has to micro these 2. So when the other 2 in the front spawn, they already take damage from the zealots that are arriving. Absolute nightmare scenario. Absolute nightmare scenario. You could argue that he should have cancelled the command center and added 2 factories in order to boost up his production a little bit. But that could backfire, because if he does that and survives, he will still lose the game later on, because his economy has just fallen behind so much from losing the SCVs that he has to somehow catch up. In a way, he did not have a bunker. He assumed that he was going to be fine against the zealot pressure, but we in fact already have dragoons on the way, so when he moves out and checks his own base, when the Marines move forward, surprise, it's dragoons. And guess what? Marines and vultures are both terrible against dragoons. He does get a double machine shop to get tanks from both factories, which he needs against the dragoons, but at this point it's already too late. At this point it is already too late. And I think the next round of dragoons comes across the map a little bit slow. It should have been there faster. I just want to check how long does it take for these dragoons to move across the map. Well, actually, they just come across right away. They just walk across the map right away, so they're not slow. Bunker in the front is empty. It's going stuff. Yeah, the game just goes downhill and downhill. At this point, it's basically over. At this point, it's over. If he didn't lose this dragoon to the SCVs surrounding it, it would have been over much earlier. All he had to do was target fire on the vultures, so that he could afterwards just completely and purely focus on surrounding the tanks. But that's it for today. It's enough analysis, enough in-depth observation of what he did wrong. It's really just Byul cut corners, Zone knew what was happening, Zone completely annihilated them.